Hello, my people. Welcome to another episode of the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, of course, and today we're going to be talking about a serious situation, education, or shall I say the miseducation of urban America. A lot of us understand and see in America that urban schools are not developing our children the way they should be. Urban students not performing. But what's the reason? Is it the students? Is it the teachers? Is it the curriculum? Well, we talked about it in the Miseducation of Urban America Part 1 myself. Today I have a very esteemed colleague who's been in the educational arena for over 2 decades. He knows the game, he knows students, he knows the psychology of education. We're going to talk about it, so definitely be prepared, be mindful, be wise, because it could be your child who's going to be going through this system, and it's going to be very important that you're able to do some reprogramming. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my esteemed guest, Mr. Christoher Dean Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, how are you, brother?
My brother, it's nice to be here, man.
Yes,
I'm
sir. Yes,
very
sir.
excited about being here. As a matter of fact, congratulations on your shows, man.
I thank you, brother.
I'm hearing a lot about it.
Yes. I thank you. Very important. So, we talk, a lot of people don't know this is a colleague of mine, and we work with our inner city schools. We run an after school program. We give back of our time. He's a musician, but he's an educator. I'm a producer, but I'm an educator, and it's very important to us. So I want to talk about this miseducation of urban America.
Of course.
Because, we have conversations frequently, and it's very important that we bring it so our people can understand that there are black men talking about it, not necessarily just only the Bill Cosbys or the Tavis Smileys, but there are people at the grassroots level making a difference, making a change, and really trying to educate our people. And let's talk about some of these miseducation and misconceptions about the school system. Now, I know you have some opinions, so let's just go and jump right in and give me some of your opinions about it.
Well, you take into consideration, first of all, Earl, that what happens is that we're caught within a vacuum, and it's a subliminal vacuum. There's a lot that happens within the school system that actually helps young folks to separate themselves from themselves. I've always looked at this particular adage. I separate you from you. You will take care of the rest of it for me to control. This is what's happening in our system. It's been going on for a very long time. At this particular point, it is completely blatant. You ask your history teachers about who Willie Lynch is. They have no clue. And actually, when they do read it, they can't actually relate to it because it's so long ago. But at the same time, it was a system that was set in place to keep us separated from ourselves. You look at the country in which we live in. It's called America. Inside of America, we're known as minorities, and you have those that call themselves very well-educated people, doctorates, bachelor's degrees, and they're going around schools and they're professing that we as minorities are making strides. And my question is, how can we be minorities, people? How, when we are of the majority of Americans in our country? So we have been taught to accept that. Like years ago, back in the 50s, I'm a 50s child, a 60s child, and it was the same type of thing where black was not fashionable. You could not call, I could not call your father black without him wanting to kill me, literally, right? But somehow or another, the system fixed it to take that negative and turn it into a positive. Now we have this word nigga. It's the same type of thing. So this whole miseducation comes down to, even in the school systems, that those that come into the school systems, the new teachers, they already have this preconceived notion subliminally that they're going in teaching a bunch of young minorities. Right. Which means, when we found out, I brought it up, you probably brought it up in one of your segments before, right after we saw it, and we stopped everything. I have to tell y'all a story real quick. I saw it, I said, Earl, look at this. And he said, whoa, stop the class. And at that particular point, remember a couple of teachers attempted to run out of there, and we stopped them from running because they needed to hear it. Not because we were looking to embarrass them. No, that wasn't the case. So that they become educated, because I can't blame what the teachers are teaching. They're mandated to teach what they're teaching. Correct. So what they're mandated to teach is separation. This is what they're going to do. That's misrepresentative of how to teach nowadays. Definitely. You see? So basically, we have this whole subliminal order right now, and that's just completely blatant. It's in the music, constantly in the music. I'm a musician. I'm not into censorship, but I feel that parents need to start spending more time on what their children are watching. Definitely. Watch it with them and explain it. But however, the parent don't know how they're going to educate their children. You have 168 hours in a week. Out of that 168 hours in a week, my own statistics, Each parent spends, whether it's a one-parent family or two-parent family, each family spends anywhere between 5.5 and 2.5 hours a week with their child. And it's not quality time the majority of the time. It's, where are you going? How come you're just getting in?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, how was school? Do you have homework? Fine, go do it. Dinner's ready. Get out the bathroom.
Right.
And then you put all those times together.
Right.
You got, in a week, anywhere from 3.5 to 2.5 hours a week. So basically, you got a breakdown within the family structure based upon how the system now has us looking at each other.
Definitely.
As well as the parents looking at how what they are not able to do in regards to spending that quality time with their children. They don't even know what their children are learning in schools.
Exactly, and that's the key point. And there's so many things that we're going to talk about it, and what the kids are learning and what kids aren't learning. And from my observation, when I say the miseducation, when we say the miseducation, we're not necessarily only speaking to the actual academic curriculum.
No.
We're talking about the behavioral, the social aspect. Most people may know or may not know. It's kind of a catch-22, and I feel for a lot of our educators. My mother's an educator, my father's an educator. We're educators, but because we run an after school, we have a little different degree of flexibility with ours. But it's almost like teachers don't have, not even almost like teachers no longer have the power they have. Remember, once upon a time, you did wrong, you could stand in the corner, you go outside, the teacher could grab you up, do whatever necessary to maintain order in that class.
Right.
But now, I wonder if the system is really setting up our children, because they've taken away the power of discipline from the teachers, from administrators, from parents. So a student can get up in your face and be indignant and disrespectful and gross and curse you out.
And as soon as you curse out the student,
if you curse the student back out, they want to put you on corporal punishment, put you in a rubber room, and you have to wait. And the power has shifted. So now what has happened, if you take the disciplinarian abilities from the schooling and from the parents, and you let the students run wild, then who's going to be disciplining your children? I'll tell you, the government, the police, or whoever else that's not you. So your children are being miseducated so that they can be able to do what a greater entity, mainly be positive, wants them to do. So, and we see it every day. It's very important that you understand where your child is, what your child is doing, and get up into the schools. We have open school nights sometimes. I talk to teachers. Parents are not coming. I said, when I was in school, brother, I remember seeing something on the wall, and it said, how can we allow the prime oppressors of our people to be the primary educators of our children?
And this is what we have. I mean, I was around when I saw that whole busing thing had taken place. When I was in school, my teachers looked like me.
Okay.
Now, I want folks to understand. I want you to understand, America or the world, that we're not sitting here saying that we want to separate ourselves, because that's not what it's about. However, it's all about relationship, and you hit it on the head. The fact that the primary discipline order has completely shifted, even in the streets. How is it that a 16-year-old kid between 16 and 17, depending on his birthday in New York State, can quit school without his parents' permission? Right. And then when he quits school, the parent is still responsible. Right. Catch-22. Catch-22, another one. 16 years old, 17 years old, kids not making it through school, right? Mm-hmm. There's this thing called certificate of attendance.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Certificate of attendance. Mm-hmm. Now, to the average 16, 17-year-old that wants to quit school, what is this? As long as they hear the word certificate and attendance, means they've attended schooling and they got a certificate for it, they're able to go out and do the same thing somebody did with a GED or with a high school diploma. The reality of the situation is that's not what it is.
Not at all.
Certificate attendance means that once that kid signs it, he's done. He cannot join the Army, any of the armed services, means he can't serve his country, not that you want to go fighting, and that's a whole other misnomer.
Listen.
You see what I'm saying? Because there's ways, even in the armed services, where you don't have to actually go over and shoot somebody or kill somebody and not know why. Right. You know, the whole idea is that you put down, and I'm saying this, I'm putting it out there. Conscientious objector. You still serve your country, but you're conscious that you're not going to kill somebody and you have no reason to do it. Right. Now, let's say you belong to one country and I belong to another country. Your leader is mad at my leader, So they're going to send you on the field. They're going to send me out. We're going to shoot each other. At the end of the war, we don't have no legs, one eye, one arm. But while we're out there shooting each other, they're at home getting with their wife, having fun with their children, going to the park, going to work every day. And then when it's all said and done, we have to go fight for our benefits, which are very little compared to the ones that didn't have to go, who sent us there to fight their cause. We don't get anything out of it. Now that's another one. There's another one on top of that. You look at where is our sense of self?
Exactly.
Why would I want to shoot or kill somebody when I have no clue why I'm doing it? And you can't say it's because I'm fighting for my freedoms, because my freedoms are innate. I'm born in America.
Right.
We are the most powerful people on the planet as an American. The most powerful. Every major country has to learn the American language, not English.
Right.
The American language.
Definitely.
Every nation. They want to dress like us. They want to listen to our music. They want to be able to play music like us. Yes, I'm a musician. I'm a musician first. But what I do as an administrative counselor for the program we're in is based on music, the psychology of sound and vibration. And that psychology is listen to what the words are saying that will keep our kids calling each other niggers. And then turn that around and say, it's okay.
Right.
What happened to our ancestral traits to say, wait a minute, folks have died so that we will be able to have these alienated rights that are due to us, right? That's the 40 acres and a mule to me.
No question.
They don't have to give me money, but don't make it so difficult for me to come in and get my money.
Right.
Feel me?
No question.
So these are the type of things that we have to start looking at. And the other part of it is when we saw that situation where the word minority came up, and it's all about minority, and the final meaning is, or not even was, is a group of people with little or no representation in society. And then again, we have doctor's degrees and master's degrees that's going into institutions of higher learning and primary learning, professing and drilling subliminally into our youth that they are less than anybody else who is represented within that society.
Exactly.
Then what do you expect the behavior to be?
And that's what I talk about. When we look at the word minority, you know, I have a show called Language, and you have to understand how your language will condemn you or liberate you. When you say minority, think about anybody who wants to be an athlete. How many people who aspire to be baseball players want to spend their career in the minor leagues? When you're in the minor league, you don't feel like you've arrived.
You get $200 a game.
So if you're in the minor league, nobody's checking for you. Nobody's checking for your stats.
No.
You're not making a mark.
You're not making a mark.
So when you subscribe to that word minority, you're subscribing. So yeah, no one's checking for me.
No.
No one's care about what I have to say. No one's recognizing my voice. No one's interested in my voice because I'm telling them I'm less than. I'm accepting the fact that they feel that I'm less than.
And that's that same thing that I look at with that word nigger. Minority, nigger, and then you look at where the women are, where they talk about our women. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, goodness.
And again, I'm not talking just about the music industry because I'm in the industry.
Right.
However, but I play primarily jazz. Jazz is a music that liberates.
No
it is a music that makes you hear and feel and open up and think. That's why it's not so prevalent anymore. You know what I mean? You can still dance to it. You can snap your finger to it. You know, you can sit back and you relax and you can enjoy the entertainment of it. However, when you walk out of there, you're looking at your fellow American, and your fellow Americans looking at you no matter what the complexion. And they're respecting you, right? But then when you get into this other thing that's happening now, where you have these young brothers now that's helping the system, they're being paid to help the system. Being paid, hear me? Paid to help the system keep you in a position of ignorance. That's the real deal. And I'm talking to everybody, no matter what your religion is, your complexion, your creed, your gender, doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
You see?
And it's cool that you say that, exactly, being paid. What a lot of people don't know, and you know, I shared this with some students, I said the penal institution is being paid for your deprecation. And when I say that, I mean this. Many students don't know. We know in, I don't know each state, but in the state of New York, and I'm sure others, there are certain grades that they take tests for promotion. 3rd grade is an important year, 7th grade is an important year, 4th grade, 8th grade. These are important formative years. A lot of individuals don't know that the private prison industry or the prison industry has relationship with the educational system, whereas they look at a student, a third grade student. In the third grade, you are 8 years old. Your child is 8 years old in the third grade. Based on the results of the test that your child takes in the third grade, they determine how many prisons need to be built. So what you're saying is these minority children at 8, we are already going to determine where they're going to be. So if I'm going to build prisons based on their results in the third grade, then that means to me, I'm not going to do anything in the grades that follow to correct the deficiency that was noticed and recognized in the third grade.
Exactly. And that's, again, it comes back to that same situation, whereas by following that particular trend that you just said, and we have an example to that. I'm going to run it in a minute.
No question.
By following that particular trend, what do we have? We have exactly what was just said here earlier, and that is subliminally inducing our children to fail. And it does, and I'm saying that how in the world the capital of the world, New York City, the reading test scores are lower than North Dakota, South Dakota, New Jersey. Nothing against these states. Montana. Right. You know, how can that be? Nothing against these states.
No question.
However, this is the capital of the world, which would seem to me, that this would be a place where the education system, at least the education system, would be at its highest point. The discipline of the education system would be at its highest point. The interaction with parents would be, no matter what they had to do, would be at its highest point. Parents would want to be on top of their children at its highest point.
No question.
But, you know, you have parents that walk into the house and they're calling their kids niggas, and they're calling their little girls hoes and bitches. Look, you little bitch, I told you to take your ass to bed. You know what I mean? You got things like that. Oops, can I say that on TV? I done said it. It's too late. The point I make it is that this is what you have, you know? So what do we do with this? You know, what do we do with this? I know what I'm doing with it. I know what you're doing with it. I was speaking to a mother today. You were there. I was speaking to a mother today. She was saying, well, you know, there's parents that, I'm sure I'm not the only parent that's having this type of thing. And I had to say to her, it's not about you not being the only parent.
Right.
You're the only parent that I'm talking to. Exactly. I don't have every parent here.
And your child only has you as the parent. You don't have everybody else as the parent.
That's it. Period. We are taught to be made. We are taught, I want this to be very clear, we are taught to be made to understand without the benefit of understanding. Mm-hmm. So we'll go with what we've been taught by. And that's in every order, whether it's from religion to economics to just being out there in the street.
Definitely.
Right? So that being the case, it helps that system that's going to help fill up those prisons that are being built. And you know, it seems like we might be jumping around here, but this is all relevant. And for those that may say, hey, I can't follow what they're saying, by the end of the show, you'll understand what we're saying.
And the reality is this, you know, if you can't follow what I'm saying, then that means maybe, and nothing against you, you have to recognize your education. Maybe you've been miseducated. And that doesn't mean that, you know, miseducation, don't look at it, it's a bad thing. Miseducation occurs because you don't know. Miseducation occurs because there's a group of people that want you to think and conduct yourself and govern yourself a certain way. Me, I tell you, I don't necessarily want you to think like me. I mean, if you do, then that's cool. You might progress. You may not. It depends. Well, no, you will if you think like me. But it's not so much about thinking like me. I want you to think. See, we become a society of doers. Yeah. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do that. You have to do that. Not, you need to think before you do this.
Right.
You need to think before you do that.
Right.
You need to think if you want to become this. You need to think if you want to have those things.
Right.
Thinking comes before doing, because you can't do something without thinking about it first.
No
Even if you're thinking you're doing it, your mind has to think it and send that message to whatever part of your body is going to execute the action.
Exactly. As a musician, that's the only way it works. I mean, from the time I knew I wanted to be a musician, from 5 years old, living in Los Angeles, California, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, I saw what I saw, and I thought, and I visualized. And at that particular point, I've arrived.
Right.
Feel me?
So now, we know there's a lot of, you know, situations. We know there's a lot of deficiencies. We know there's a gross miseducation in urban America, and there's no one answer. But I'm the person of this nature. We can always talk about the problem, and it seems like we always do that. I'm going to be developing a program where it's going to be called, it's going to be a student series, a student-produced, middle school, because it's going to be introspective, urban education, the student's perspective. We have all the eggheads in the UFT or the Board of Ed that sit up on the board of directors and they make decisions that are going to affect urban public schools, though some of them have never worked in an urban public school.
Never.
They've never been to urban communities. So how is it that you're going to make decisions that are going to enhance or empower these youth when you don't even know them, you don't understand them, you've never been around them? It just doesn't make sense. And unfortunately, we send our children off into these locations, these entities to become educated. And we're not saying the system works. The system works, but the system will not raise your child. The system will not educate your child probably the way you feel your child needs to be educated, or the way your child truly does need to be educated.
Well, those that are in the system, you got to look at this. Those that are in the system that are doing exactly what you just said, right? That's been in those places. You got to keep in mind they are also been induced and inundated with the ideology that these are minority children and they have no representation, so they really don't matter. We need to get the money, and so therefore we utilize that contingent of that particular contingential demographic,
right?
And we are able to get the budgets that are necessary to at least look like we're doing something with them. You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And so, it was one of the schools I worked in last year in Manhattan, that I was in last year in Manhattan. And understand, my counseling thing is very much based on the psychology of sound and vibration, having young folks understand that when I say this, I'm not talking about picking up my instrument and playing it. I'm talking about picking up this instrument. Picking up this instrument and saying to the young person, let me give you some understanding, so therefore you're not being made to understand something without understanding. I am placing you in a position where you understand what is being done. Now it makes it easier for them to assess what they need to do based solely on them, not on the system itself.
Definitely.
You know me? So it's the same thing with parents, and parents are caught up in the same thing. Because obviously this was something that was very much undercover subliminally to a lot of us. However, what we saw was blatant. That's just how blatant this stuff is now. Just how much in the face is in.
It's not hidden.
It's not
covert at all
anymore. So, but at the same time, for this particular generation of young folks and young parents, is hidden to them because they were born into this. It's like I was born into the Negro colored people thing. Saw the development of the black thing. The development of the African American thing. And the development of the presence, hard presence of the word nigger. You see what I'm saying? And I've seen this develop. And I've seen how it developed. So this is why I'm so adamant about, is there a solution? Yes, there is a solution. First of all, the parent has to become more involved.
Definitely.
Has to become more involved. I mean, you're funny sometimes, man. You be like, man, I want this cat, that cat, this cat's part, I want that cat's part, that parent's got to come with this parent's parent, and I want every parent here, and then I end up having to talk to these.
I know, right?
Which is fine, because we're going to give them the same message.
Pretty much.
But no matter what the case, they don't know either.
This is true.
They don't know. So therefore, the teachers that are teaching in whatever the system may be, and I'm not just talking about the education system, I'm talking about teachers that come into the prison systems are supposed to rehabilitate. No, that's not rehabilitation. When you're putting a cat that was selling reefer on the corner, nickel, dime, 50-cent bags, and putting him in the same system that you've gotten serial killers and hard murderers and embezzlers.
And that's where they put our young brothers.
That's where they put
15,
them.
16, 17, you get caught first time on some wheel nickel bags, and they're doing time. And don't be misrepresented and thinking that you can, well, my man only got a little bit, everything's different. There are some brothers sitting in jail for a nickel bag, sitting in jail for a dime bag, sitting in jail for something that they thought they would get a DST, which is a desk appearance. Y'all in the hood, y'all know what a DST is. In other words, but it's serious, but you've been watching this thing, and we talk about so much, and time goes so fast, but as we start winding this down, I'm gonna give you opportunity to hear something, because this brother's a very educated cat. That's why we're here. We're talking about it, and we're going to continue to talk about the miseducation of urban America. This is going to be a series, because we will re-educate or it's going to be re-education or die trying. You know, in the words of my man, we're going to
say
get
it
it
again.
in. Re-education or die trying. Because if you don't die trying and you don't get re-educated, you're going to live a slow death anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So listen, we're about to wrap this thing up, my brother Sullivan. I'm so happy to have you here. Listen,
glad to be
this is
here.
Christoher Dean Sullivan. You're going to see his contact information at the end of it. It's MySpace, of course, if you want to speak to him or you want to talk, if in, you know how to reach out to the Urban Wall Street Project. We're here. Parents, be mindful of your children. Get into the school. Talk to your kids' teachers. Everything's not peachy keen. Kids, tell your parents the truth. Administrators, start listening to the kids. The Urban Wall Street Project is about to bring the kids to you. So y'all be ready.
Real quick, can I say this?
Say it quickly.
Parents, real quick. This is what everybody, not even just everybody, there's 168 hours in a week. Break down that 168 hours for yourself, where sleep time, bathroom time, work time, how much time you spend with your children. And I'm not talking just time. I'm talking quality time, where you're talking about spirit, where you're talking about ancestors, where you're talking about history, real history. And you don't know it, my email address is, you'll see it. Email me.
Yes. Once again, you've been watching the Urban Wall Street Project. I hope you've learned something. I hope you're starting to think. I hope you're getting motivated. I hope you're getting excited and you want to get out there and go talk to your teachers. Check that homework. Look at them report cards. It's a serious situation. Take care of your kids. You have them. You love them. Let the world know it. Raise them to be productive people so they can be good for themselves. Watching it next week. See us. Peace.
Peace.